We arrived in Australia in June 2006, and what happened to us is that we were carrying with us this pressure, psychological pressure and fear of the indigenous, the Kanak, who made pressure on us, and with this initiation of that the paradise is not only the environments, the nature we are living in, but also the kind of intentions on thoughts and acts and attitude. We focused for Australia to go and discover eco-villages, so that we arrived in Brisbane. It was winter time, and we hired a car to go to a Crystal Waters eco-village for one night, and then go north up to Gingin, where we find another eco-village. It was warmer than where Crystal Waters were. In Gingin, we planned to stay in Kookaburra Park, and this is what happened. I can remember. We arrived by night there and knocked at the door of a woman called Jenny, and she was so open-earthed and welcoming us, so we stayed the night in her house, and then next day we spoke with her about who we were and what we wanted to do, and she organized for us to find a rental in the eco-village, and then we were able to settle there for a few months and discover the people there and speak with them, and even the children started to play mouse and cats to learn the language. So that was our introduction in the English spoken world, and very friendly people. So we had connection with these people living in this eco-village, and the plan was to see how to migrate to Australia and find our place in a community. So we enjoyed there the contrary of New Caledonia. So very welcomed by the people, friendly people, but the land was terrible. So that the climate was very hot and lots of desert areas, so that the people were living mainly in big cities in south of the continent. Australia is really a continent, and other people were gathering and living in towns and together. So that was quite difficult to find friendly wild areas. But this is what we did. So after a time in Kookaburra Park, we decided to purchase a van. So we bought a van so that we were autonomous in our move, and we went north up to Mackay. The plan was to find and purchase a land. But the reality of Australia is that it's very expensive. Even if we sold our house in France, nearly 200,000 euro, that was lots of money in Australia, the double, if I remember. But it was not enough for our plan. It was very difficult. So we were just enjoying our stay as tourists there. And near Mackay, we went to Mount Charlton, where was a place for a music festival, yearly music festival called the Winter Moon Festival. And when there were no festival, it was a camping area. So we stayed in this camping area for a few months, enjoying our life in family, couple intimacy, and we had our 7 children there, and we stayed until we were one of another hurricane, another bad climate coming, storm, something like that. So that we decided to go south. It was hot now. We went north because it was winter time, and when the summertime came, we went south and across the Queensland down to New South Wales, and we've done from Brisbane, where we arrived by plane, down until Murwillumbah, with this plan to discover and see if we could purchase the Tagari farm of the Permaculture Institute. I had a talk with Jeff Lawton. He asked me if I had the money, and I said no, because I didn't have the whole money. So the plan was to buy this farm, Tagari farm, with other people. We met some of us and visited the place with other people interested too. So that was the idea, but we discovered the dwellings and what was remaining of the Permaculture Institute, and the bamboos were very nice, and some work had been done, but lots of work to rehabilitate everything has to be done. So we, in fact, we gave up this solution, but we settled in Tialgom near Murwillumbah. In Tialgom, a small village where there was a camping area, a public place that we could here we could pay for the camping, for the settlement there, and we stayed there a few months there. And at that time, the children, they expressed the desire to have friends. So that we found in Murwillumbah, it's incredible. We found there an alternative school called the Satyasai School, inspired by Satya Sai Baba from India, and one school in this educational system has been created in Australia, in Murwillumbah. So the Satya Sai School, and the children, the elder ones, 4, 5 of them went to school. So they had friends, and they learned more English language, because that was the plan, to learn more English. And then they were teach the values of this system, human values, peace, truth, etc. 5 values. And so that was a good time for them and for us also. And at that time we were in this challenge to find a way to migrate in Australia. It was quite hard because our skills as agronomists were not in demand. There were plenty of them, and what was in demand was in health, doctors, medical doctors or nurses, and in computering. And we were not, so that it was hard to migrate that way. We were offered a nice way, I know, is the partner visa. So you can have a Australian partner and you get a visa because you are in partnership with someone. And we were offered by a couple who had 6 children. We were offered to do 2 partner visas for me and my wife. But for that we had to get divorced in France. So we said not to that option. That it was a great one. And then I thanks them. And then we found another possibilities, if we could take over business. And we found an organic food farm, which was for sale. An organic food farm that we could take over the business and the property. But we didn't have the money. So that at that time, I said that it's not possible, so we looked for another business for sale, but didn't find it. My wife was pregnant of the eighth child, and she was about to give birth, and the visa was ending, so we decided to go for a couple of weeks in New Caledonia back and come back to Australia. We came back from New Caledonia where we spent 2 weeks with two elder sons enjoying scuba diving and us enjoying living in a resort. So that was very different from the first time we were in New Caledonia. We were spending more money and we were living in a safe place. We were purchasing food in Noumea and settling near Noumea. We had also a car I hired for 2 weeks. So that was a different experience than the first one. And then when we came back to Australia at the end of the 1 year multiple entry visa, we arrived in Chelgam to take back our things. We had the van, we had a trailer, we had a washing machine, we had many things to us. We stayed in Chelgam for 2 weeks, and we came back, picked them up, and then looked for a place to stay, and we found a caravan park in Mount Warning. And it's there that the eighth child was born in couple intimacy again. The children went back to school in the Satchasai school. And then after a time, we moved to a lodge in the same place, a lodge in a nice property of 90 hectares, owned by a man called Lindsay, who welcomed the family so we could enjoy our lifestyle on this property. And because the migration process was not succeeding, I was looking for an alternative, wondering how we could make money. And at that time, we enjoyed watching the videos, documentary of Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, and also the shows of the Wiggles. So that I realized with my wife that it was possible to make great money with a great integrity, consistency, integrity, and a positive impact on the society. So that I said to my wife, oh, we could film, shoot videos of our lifestyle and live from our image like them. So we started doing that kind of shootings with the family in the swimming pool, in camping or by the creek or with a quad. We purchased a quad, enjoying different things, or with with bikes, not motorbikes, but with bikes, etc. So we made a DVD and with a plan to send it to the family in France because they had no news about us for a while. And after Christmas time of 2007, we moved again from this place to go inland. We wanted to participate to an Ananda Marga meeting in Stanthorpe, and then maybe try a way to help and be accepted in this community. But it didn't happen. After that, we had to go back. It was very cold. We had to go back north to Jinjin and find finally a place to stay in Woodgate Beach. What made us allowed us to stay more time in Australia is that there were some issues, some mistakes on the birth certificate of our child, so that we had to send it back to the registration, and it took time, so that we had to wait. And for the passport of our eighth child too, we needed more time, so that we were waiting that time in Woodgate Beach, enjoying hearing executive house. So it was more stressful than being in camping. But after the birth of the eighth child, we started increase our standard of living and spending more and more money. And because why? Because to purchase the organic farm, we discovered we needed to win the lottery. So that in my mind something changed. I said, "Oh, we are multimillionaires already," and so that I didn't care spending money like before. The first year in Australia, we didn't spend lots of money, but the next year, after the birth of the eighth child, we started to spend more and more money, even in in hearing house accommodation, even in accommodation. And so that we accommodate us in a nice house, but caring to go outside as soon as possible, so that the children can remain free of their movement and not dirt the place. And so we were going to the beach daily, and I was making some meditation concentration to intend discover or receive the numbers of the lottery. That was the plan. I played a lot to the lottery, to Powerball there. And then after a time, a few months, we decided to move again because it was the end of the contract, and we moved to near Mowilamba, near Mullaney, in Wita, where we found a big house for rent. It was for rent for a couple, for two people at $600 Australian dollars per week for tourists. But in fact, it was a 5-bedroom house, a big house, which was for sale. It was the house of late David Ackworth, the U.S. colonel of the army. It was his house where he was writing his memory of war. And where after he died, the house has been put for sale, and in that time by a real estate. And the real estate was renting the house. So that we arrived in Mullaney and asked for this house for the rental. But because we were a big family, the woman, I remember, in the real estate agency said we had to pay the double. So that we paid 1,200 Australian dollars per week, the rental. And we had a first 3 months contract, and then renovated the contract, negotiating to lower the price to $900 dollars per week. And so it was very expensive, but we enjoyed the place. We enjoyed the lake. We also purchased when we were in Woodgate Beach, we purchased some music instruments because my wife is violinist, so she wanted to play cello and to teach violin to the children. So we started that, and also we paid a private school of the Ananda Marga community organization called the River School in Mullaney, and the children went to school and they were playing violin at school too. So they enjoyed being also in another educational system, alternative educational system. And in that time, I was always in this plan to purchase the business of the organic food farm. So, but I negotiated a bridge visa and made all the step I could to get the register my own company, Angelica Organic Garden. And then I did the best, but unfortunately, I never win the lottery, so we had to leave the country. It was a great desperation for the family because we loved so much the people there in Australia, but we were not able to find the way to migrate with our whole family. We were wondering where we should go for the next step of our family journey, and it should be South America. I had some contacts in Brazil in communities by a woman from Australia living there in Brazil I met, but my wife, she didn't want the Portuguese, so that she said to me one day, we'll go. It was Christmas time in 2008. Christmas time, she said, we'll go to Bolivia. And I said to her, I asked her, Bolivia, where's that? So I looked the map and I checked the political situation and I heard about Evo Morales. I read what he was saying in speeches, and so that I understood quite rapidly that there was a change in comparison with the time we were in France and hearing about the situation in South America with lots of dictatures and revolutions. So there was a change in Bolivia, and I said yes to my wife, and then looked on internet a nice climate to live in Bolivia, because Bolivia has all climates, possible climates, from the very hot to the very cold. So we find information of the business in Samaipata, where it was said that there's flowers all year long there. And this is with that information that we decided, okay, we'll go to Samaipata in Bolivia. And it has been the plan.